In
Yeah.
terms of like corralling all of the ideas, though, because you could talk, both of you could talk about so many different topics. What were some of the challenges to kind of hone it in and then get past it so that now you can say, this is a show about helping young athletes reach the next level of success for themselves?
We batted around a lot of ideas. We vetted them with people like you to get some thoughts about, what maybe wasn't out there. How can we fill in the gaps that young people may have?
You may have knowledge, experience, and stories that deserve to be heard, but you aren't sure yet how to share them. My guests today, Bonita and Cadillac Harris, are passionate about helping others, and they've chosen podcasting as their way to make an impact. How do you go from an idea to an actual show? That's exactly what we're talking about today. If you've ever thought about sharing your expertise, whether through video or audio, but didn't know where to begin, you're going to get a lot out of this conversation. If you're new to me, I'm Cheryl Tan. I'm a former TV news anchor turned video strategist, and I help experts figure out how to use video to establish a brand, build an audience, and attract new clients. I'm so excited to have Bonita and Cadillac here today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us, Cheryl.
We're really happy to be here, Cheryl. Thank you.
And I've just so enjoyed working with you over the past few months. And Bonita and actually Cadillac, I've known
Yes.
you both for years. Let's let our audience get an idea of who the two of you are, if they are not already familiar with the two of you. Bonita, I'm going to start with you. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Okay, well, like you, I was a TV reporter and anchor before got into corporate communications. So now I work at Dominion Energy, where I'm in my 15th year. For most of that time, I was in media and community relations and of helping connect the community with Dominion and our resources and how we can help people. And now I'm a senior strategic advisor. So I am helping the leaders get a little bit better about getting their message out to the community. So I'm enjoying this new role, but I'm not new to the company.
No, perfect. And it's the perfect use of your skills to use your storytelling and communication skills to help people within your organization. I absolutely love that.
Thank
Cadillac,
you.
tell us about you and you have a long-standing career in sports and coaching. So tell us more about that, please.
Yeah, I grew up in Virginia Beach as a student athlete and got a full scholarship to Norfolk State University. And I've trained, taught, and trained student athletes all over the place, from North Carolina to um, 4 or 5 different schools here in the Tidewater area, Indian River, Green Run, Maury High School. And I just enjoyed teaching and learning about students and get them to learn about themselves so that they could be very successful. And the good thing is I've uh, enjoyed those experiences that I have, growing students from the ground up and just meeting them right where they are and being able to give them some successful strategies to be successful for a lifetime. So I'm excited about this venture, Cheryl.
I love that. I love that. You can tell your passion, and you too, Benita, for supporting the next generation, for taking the skills that you've learned over many, many years, trial and error, all of that, and infusing that into what you share with people who are going to listen to your show. Okay, so let's talk about the show itself. And we've talked about this, the three of us, about your passion, your long-standing history within the community. The two of you are a power couple, honestly, really. And we came up with the idea that you should talk about it. You should talk about the things that are important to you. What inspired you to both want to start this podcast, this undertaking?
Well, Cheryl, I looked at my life very strategically, and I look at the impact that education and embracing parents and students and being able to provide successful strategies and tools to get from one destination, whether it be from the fifth grade to the sixth grade, or from elementary school to high school, or from middle school to high school or to college. So I love operating in those arenas, and I also teach driver's education, so the such parallels about boundaries and knowing what to do, what side of the road to be on,
Staying in between the lines.
danger between the
Right?
lines, turning from one street to the next street and being in the right lane and the same thing you have to do with your life. So many of the principles are parallel, and to be able to share those things with parents and students, it's a joy for me. I love it, and I really love seeing my student athletes and parents being successful. So being successful is the driving force and the purpose behind what we want to do with our audience.
Mm. And
Love
when
that.
we go places, people are always saying, Cadillac, I need you to talk to my son.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Cadillac Harris. He needs to talk to my son and help him get on the right track. So he does that as much as he can, but of course he can't talk to everybody all the
Right.
time. And so we felt like a podcast was a way to have a bigger impact with sharing our experiences and knowledge with others. And of course, it's not just about athletic skills on the field,
Right.
but we also want to help young people be successful in the classroom, right? And after graduation. And that involves a lot of communication skills, which is where I come in.
Yes. And she's done a magnificent job at that as an Emmy Award winning journalist and all those things. And so together as a team, we've just felt like we're so much better together in terms of being able to impact the larger audience and being able to attract them to our podcast and be able to be a cookbook, so to speak, the Betty Crocker of getting parents and students in the right direction so that they can be good for a lifetime. Yeah.
I like how that rolled off your tongue, Cadillac. You're like, this is this podcast, my podcast, our podcast. It just rolled off your tongue so naturally. As we're talking about this, I think our people who are watching need to know what the show is about. Specifically, what is it about? Who is it for? Who, as you're going to the grocery store, as you're going to the mall, and people stop you and say, "Hey, we need this, that, or the other from Cadillac or from you, Bonita." You can shift them over to this podcast. What is it about? Who will get something out of this show?
Well, we thought a lot about that and vetted some different ideas. And it
Right.
seems like the biggest pull for us is young athletes, like in the middle and high school age, who are trying to figure out what they want to be when they grow up, how they're going to get there. If they want to go to college, how can they afford it? How can they get scholarships for college? What are the right steps they need to take to be successful? Cadillac always had mandatory study halls for his football players when he was
Yeah.
a coach. And it was interesting to see that the students always did better during football season, even though they were much busier during football
Right.
season.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
did after football season because there was structure and it was important for them to also have their academic skills and the tutoring that they needed.
Yeah.
And we know that public speaking is also important for interviewing skills and presenting
That's
yourself.
right.
And so we just thought, this is a good crossroads for young people when they're trying to kind of make it from childhood to adulthood and how we can help them do that. And we also have a great network of friends and colleagues that have a lot of wonderful things that they've shared with us that we've
Right.
learned from.
Right.
And we'd like to see if we'd like to pull them in and help them express some of their wisdom as well.
And we really want to focus on caring and connecting with the environment, the people in which we live in, and giving them an opportunity that the opportunities exist, and they just need to grab hold of those things, of the tools and go in their toolbox. It's already inside of them. They just don't know how to reach them sometimes. And sometimes when you're a hand down, pull them up to the speed to where they and push them in the direction they want to go. And they watch them go from a toddler to you know, to a person who not being a toddler in the sense of they don't understand where they are, but to help them migrate from crawling to walking to running in the direction that they want to go.
What an amazing experience, right? To be able to see that toddler or see that young person, that young athlete grow into just an incredible adult. Do you have any
Oh,
stories that you care to share? Maybe someone in particular that you've had the opportunity to work with, someone who is that perfect person to listen to this show and get something out of it and move on to that next level of his or her life.
Oh my goodness,
a
yes, it's
lot
so
of them.
many, it's so many at
So
a
many,
time
I know.
where I need to start. I think about Keith Goganis, who's now an athletic director in the Washington, D.C. area. And he was a student athlete at Green Run High School. He tore up his knee just like I did when I was in college. He did it in high school. We thought it might be a career-ending situation, and lo and behold, goes out and comes back and play the last two games of the season. So he
Wow.
missed the entire season and played the last two games of the season, got us into the playoffs with his play, ended up playing in the All-Star game, was the MVP of the All-Star game, and went on to Penn State and went and played in the Super Bowls and all of those
He
things.
went to play for Buffalo
Play
Bills.
for the Buffalo
Oh,
Bills,
that's
and I had two
amazing.
kids at the same time. He and Matt Darby, those guys are tremendous guys. And I think about Al Chamblee, my first NFL football player, who everyone thought that he was not skilled enough to be able to play at the next level or play at the Division One level. And I just kept pushing him and kept telling each coach that came through that this is what this kid can do. He ended up going to Virginia Tech, being one of the strongest players on the football team, and then ended up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and playing for
Oh,
3 or 4 years.
wow.
And that from that one person, all the NFL, all the college coaches begin to say, "Hey, we got to go see Cadillac because if he says the kid is good, the kid is going to be be a great football player." And so I ended up having 10 or 12 kids, 10 kids to go to Virginia Tech over a span of time, several to Norfolk State. I mean, over
Yeah.
hundreds of kids that go to different schools all over the country. So,
You know what else is impressive though too is a lot of your kids have gone on to be successful in other ways, not necessarily football.
right.
Like the Chase brothers, he's got two high school kids whose parents died before they graduated from high school,
Kamari High School, yeah.
and they went through some rough
Yeah.
times. But they said that Cadillac was key in helping them get over those hurdles, and they both are admirals in the Navy right now. I mean, it's just amazing. And he has other players that have been successful with public speaking.
Adolph Brown,
Adolph Brown,
you
who
know.
is a national motivational speaker and has a
Yeah.
TV show is it
Yeah, it
NBC?
was
One of the
parent.
networks about
Yeah.
parenting. I
Right.
mean, and he had people call him all the time and just say, you were, you met me in my life at a pivotal point when I could have gone in this direction or this direction, and you helped me get over the hump. And that makes me also think about one of the other points we were talking about is how he's seen some of the best athletes
Yeah.
not be successful. You want to
Right.
talk about that?
Yeah, I've seen some, of all the players I've had in NFL, I can name other players who are physically and ta more talent than them, but because of environmental situations, because they did not understand the strategies of and re recognizing the gift that God had put into them, they didn't utilize those gifts, and they are far, nowhere near where they could have been. And so those persons need have a voice too, because they can reach those other kids who are following, are walking in those footsteps, and so I'm looking forward to being able to bring them on, and some of them have highly national attention, and some of them have uh, were great high school athletes who just never were able to get out of the way of the vices that was and the potholes that seemed to trip them up, and they were not able to elude those things.
And on the flip side, he also had some players who were kind of average,
Yeah,
not the best players,
right, right.
but they made good choices. They listened to advice, and they ended up being successful beyond their wildest dreams in
Yeah,
high school.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's interesting to see both ways, and we just feel like we may have some tips and some life experiences that can help young people get on the path to success and go in the right
As I
direction.
listen to the two of you talk about the passion that you have for supporting these young men and women through their middle school and high school and beyond, it just makes me realize how important coaching is, how
Yeah,
important mindset is, how
yeah,
important it is to surround these students with the right peers, the right peer group that can help them see the opportunities when maybe they can't see that themselves. And I'm so excited for this show. I'm so, so excited. So, people who are watching this might fall in a couple of camps. Maybe they know and love you. They know the work that you do, Cadillac and Bonita in communication and in sports. But there also may be people who are like the two of you in that they have many ideas. They have many ideas of things they want to share with the world and don't know exactly how to get started, um, to kind of put it out into the world. So as you have been developing this idea, and it's been a few months, and we've been talking about this for a few,
Right.
maybe a couple of years. We've been talking about it for a little while, right? As far as this idea of getting this passion project out into the world. What if what have some of your biggest challenges been related to this? And how did you move past it to actually be able to say, we're going to do a podcast?
Getting started.
Well, a 1,000-mile journey begins with one step.
That's
So,
right.
and so we knew that we have a passion for young people and parents, and we're in an environment that we want to make the biggest impact. I tell Bonita, and she shares it with me, like, baby, I want to die empty. I want to make sure that I get out everything that's inside of me that will maybe a positive impact to others, and give them tools that they can pass on to the next generation. And so that's what I'm excited about, and we both do that.
Mhm.
And so that's where we are on it.
He's still an athlete that wants to leave it all on the field.
Yeah,
Man, that was beautiful. That really was beautiful. In
Yeah.
terms of like corralling all of the ideas, though, because you could talk, both of you could talk about so many different topics. What were some of the challenges to kind of hone it in and then get past it so that now you can say, this is a show about helping young athletes reach the next level of success for themselves? How did you get past that? Let's talk about that.
We batted around a lot of ideas. We vetted them with people like you to get some thoughts about, what maybe wasn't out there. How can we fill in the gaps that young people may have? You were talking before about the importance of coaching and helping young people know what direction to go in. A lot of young people are growing up in single parent households, and those single mothers are doing a phenomenal job, but they have to work sometimes 2 and 3 jobs.
yeah,
And it's hard to think about how do we help our child with the best, athletic skills, nutrition, communication skills when they're trying to keep a roof over their head and food on the table. And so coaches do a great job of filling in the gap. And just by the sheer number of people that reach out to Cadillac and say, can you help my son? Can you help my daughter? We thought, well, that might be a podcast in there.
right.
Mhm.
And then everybody needs a life coach. And I just remember a statement Billy Graham made. He said that a coach can impact more people in their lives in 1 year than most people can in a lifetime. And that stuck with me.
Mhm.
And I'm living that. I'm seeing that. I'm experiencing it. I'm looking at how Bonita and I came together to put together the first sheriff football camp in Norfolk,
Mhm.
and we had Bruce Smith and
I remember that.
several. Yeah,
Yeah,
we had all these.
Plexico Burris came and
Bicycle
played with the
Bears came,
kids,
and
and
then Cam Chancellor came,
Aaron Rouse,
Aaron Rouse came, and those are some of the
who's now
voices.
a
And
state senator.
right. Right. So,
Yeah.
and those are some of the voices that we would come back to the show and share their journey, and so that everyone can understand that it's possible when you attract the right people and you get in the right position, then success will follow if you will follow the recipe. Just and it's simple. And do unto others as you would have done unto yourself, and
Mm.
just live that model and be that model.
Mm.
And I think, Cheryl, even when young people have great parents that can give them good advice,
Mm.
you're a mom. They usually don't want to listen. Our own children don't want to
Oh,
listen to us.
absolutely. We have to hear it from somebody else, and
We have to
it's
hear from somebody
Yeah,
else.
right.
we'll
And
have to
so
put it
we
in the
can sit back
background. We'll
and
have to put your show on in the background,
Yeah,
right?
right,
exactly.
right.
But I envision, us bringing those people on the show that have been successful, but also we might want to recruit our own children
Oh
and let
yeah,
them say,
yeah.
hey, look, so they're growing up with us.
Right.
What did they learn? What
What they
mistakes
didn't like
what
about
they
what
did
they
right.
They'll tell
so
you.
Oh, they sure
that,
will.
that certainly will. So those are some parenting tips that we can share, even if we have to take the door off the hinges, if so that when you to get a point to prove a point and put it in the garage and for
Yes, yes, we did that.
for, for
Oh my
weeks and
God.
weeks and weeks or a month almost. So
If you don't know how to handle privacy,
yeah,
guess what? You don't
yeah,
get any.
yeah. So
Go to the
right,
bathroom.
right, right, right. So
That
I
is
mean,
great. This is how now we're getting it. When we hear from your kids,
right,
then we'll really get the true story. It's going to be
right.
fabulous. Okay, so I want to hear about the show itself. You've talked about bringing guests on, and likely some guests people have heard of nationally and internationally. You have a pretty big list of friends who are pretty well known. So you might have interviews, you might have uh, other kinds of guests. Maybe you'll have panel discussions. What is the format of your show? And can you talk about like when people can expect it, that kind of thing? Tell us more about what we can do to expect the show and what we can do to support it.
Well, we're in the planning phases right now, working on ideas and putting everything together. We feel like the next thing that we need to do is start doing some shows just for practice,
Right.
and seeing how they come out, and maybe sharing them with our friends and family and getting some feedback from them, and even interviewing some people and recording it and seeing how it comes across. And then we're hoping that by sometime this summer, we'll
Mhm.
be able to pick the best out of that group and share it with others.
I love it.
Absolutely.
I absolutely love that. I know that there's maybe not a date today, but there
Right.
will be. And when that comes out, I'll definitely put that in the show notes for this show. Let's leave the guests who are watching some takeaways. So, for anybody who's watching this, Bonita Cadillac, what are some biggest lessons that you have learned in this process? We know that you have a message that you want to share. You have an impact, a greater impact that you want to give to the people who know you, people who don't know you. And we know that people who are listening might feel the same. They might feel like they have something they want to share, but there's some sort of barrier for them. So, what takeaway would you have for them as you have been going through this process and you were one step closer to
Right.
having a date for when you'll be publishing? So, what would you say to them?
Well, don't let the fear of get in the way. Don't let whatever obstacles that you might think would be obstacles, because obstacles are opportunities.
Mm.
And so if you have something that says, well, look, I'm not ready, I can't do this, let's let's get rid of the I can't and that I can. That you can do all things if you align yourself up with the right prescription. And take the prescriptions that Benita and I have discovered that are success principles. And if we don't have your immediate solution, then we'll be willing to help you and assist you to get to the right place, to the right people who can help. May have a little bit more experience than us based on what obstacles stand in your way. I'm sure we've seen enough of them to be able to strategically put you in a position where you can get on the right road to success.
Right. It's not like we know everything. We've certainly
No.
made our share of mistakes. And a lot of times we believe you can
And
learn
we'll
more
share
from your
those too.
mistakes. Yeah, we'll share those too.
Yeah.
But we believe a lot of times you can learn more from your failures than your successes. So we'll share those too. And one of the things that we tell our children a lot is whether or not you believe you can or you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So believe in yourself, take the steps, figure out what the obstacles are, and figure out how to overcome them.
Yeah.
And reach out for help. Like you said, everybody needs a coach.
Everybody needs help.
Nobody can figure it all out by themselves. So we all need help. You've been an important part of this process, Cheryl,
Yeah.
and we appreciate it.
Certainly.
And we certainly advise people if you're stuck, call Cheryl. She'll
That's
tell
right.
you.
That's
She'll
right.
tell you what to do.
That's right.
She'll help you get going. So yeah.
I adore the both of you, and I honestly cannot wait for the start of the show. Let me know the minute you have the date and all of that taken care of. Can't wait to listen, can't wait to share. And I know many people are feeling the same way. So thank you both. Thank you both for doing this.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Cheryl. Thank you for being the launching pad. So we certainly appreciate that, and so that we can reach all the communities that will be in touch with us.
Appreciate it. If you enjoyed this, be sure to follow Bonita and Cadillac's podcast. When it launches, we'll drop the details in the show notes and the description of this episode. And if you're thinking about starting a podcast or using video to share your message, let's talk. I help my clients go from idea to execution, and I'd love to help you as well. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next conversation. Thanks for joining us today.